Hello. This video is about mushrooms and soul. I am a person who is very inspired by biology, physiology, human body, but also how things work in nature and how it very often translates into our psychology and our social lives, relationships. Like whenever I spot those parallels between nature, biology, and human functioning, I feel like being a part of very magical, but very real, also embodied network of life. So this is something that blew my mind a couple of days ago. I read it in a book, Flowering Wand, very good book about masculine archetypes. And there was something about mushrooms, and in particular, the spores of mushrooms, because mushrooms use the tiny spores to multiply. So when the spore is ripe, when it's ready, it has some sugar on its surface. And this sugar kind of works like a magnet for humidity. And tiny droplets of water are formed around the spore. And then the spore is ejected out of the mushroom. And some of the spores fall nearby on the ground, but majority of them, they actually are taken by wind into the atmosphere, and they can ride on the wind currents for weeks. And wait for the number. Let me remember. 50 million tons of spores are ejected into the atmosphere every year. 50 million tons. We cannot see them. They are like dust, very, very tiny. But what happens that some of them can travel even 50 miles up. And because they have this sugar on their surface, they attract moisture, and they actually form tiny droplets of water around them. And then they travel like coated in water, and they bump into each other, and there are millions of them. And you won't believe it. That's how clouds form. There might be some other mechanisms of cloud forming. I'm not saying that's the only way. I'm not an expert in it, but the research into cloud forming and rainfall shows that like the mushroom spores play a huge role in cloud formation. So at least some clouds are formed this way, by these tiny spores attracting moisture, bumping into each other, kind of gathering and forming clouds. And as we know, mushrooms need lots of humidity in order to grow and thrive. So after, when the cloud is ready to fall as a rain, all the spores fall on the ground, and they already have the moisture from the cloud. So mushroom, you wouldn't think that it's like a super intelligent organism, but it is like hugely intelligent. Actually, the mycelium under the ground can be compared to nervous system of the planet, of Earth. It's like network through which different species, not only mushrooms, can communicate. Trees, we all know about the symbiotic relationship between trees and mushrooms, and I'm sure there is so much more that we don't know yet about those amazing beings. But who would think that this mushroom that mostly lives underground, what we see, it's like above the ground manifestation of this huge underground being network of mycelium. And this being, this mushroom, has the ability to form clouds, so it can create the right conditions for it to grow and thrive. I was really blown away by it. And then I started to think like, What about we are also like this? What if in the depths of our psyche, and that's the cue, like the depths, because the mushrooms are mainly underground. So it's not on the surface in our psyche. It's not something that we are aware of necessarily, or something that is in our rational mind, but in the deeper layers of the psyche, the unconscious layers, there is this amazing wisdom that can allow us to form clouds and make rain. You know, and I'm using it as a metaphor, but to create something that seems to be almost impossible, mushroom, tiny spore, to create a cloud, and then to create rainfall, something that is necessary for our thriving. So what if in the depths of our psyche, there is the mechanism that knows exactly how to create what we need, how to create what we desire, how to create the right circumstances for our thriving? What if one of the most important and useful things we could do is to get out of our own way? I know it sounds a bit like a cliche. Many people say it, but there is truth in it. That by worrying, overthinking, trying to control everything, like being tense and always needing to decide and think and plan and strategize, what in this way we are closing down the amazing, the magnificent intelligence of our soul, the mechanism that can create clouds and fall down as rain that we need, and can connect with the wind and take us miles and miles away to a place that is right for us. So how can this be applied to our lives? A simple step that I think of is recognize that you don't need to rationally figure everything out, that life has your back, that life has this amazing intelligence that is supporting you, and that within you, within your psyche, there is this intelligence that can make miracles. So if you can just stop worrying so much, stop overthinking, if you can just relax a bit and open and to regulate your nervous system, so you are feeling connected to your body, not so much in the head, but also connected to your heart, to your womb, to your entire being. If you can relax, if you can lean into the idea that this amazing intelligence is always guiding you, always supporting you, maybe then you can, like the tiny spores, be taken by wind exactly where you need to be taken. And maybe, like the tiny spores, you can magnetize exactly what you need, like the water. And then you can fall like the rain and thrive in the circumstances that this deeper intelligence chose. So maybe it's like as simple, the first step might be as simple as deciding to trust and relaxing just a little bit more every day, just relaxing and opening a little bit more, allowing life, allowing your own soul to show you It's amazing wisdom and support. So these are my mushroom-inspired musings. I hope they touched something in you. Let me know if you have any reflections or questions. Feel free to share. And thank you so much. It's very joyful for me to be able to share with you what deeply inspires me and what I believe we can learn from different organisms, nature, animals, mushrooms, plants, and how it can be applied to our human lives to make us more human, to make us more wild, to make us more soulful, to make us more who we truly are. Okay, thank you so much for watching and see you again.